Transpiration. Transpiration is best defined as loss of water as vapor from plants. Transpiration is best defined as loss of water from the plants. Next, in one of the experiments to demonstrate transpiration, we need cobalt chloride paper. What are the characteristics of this paper that suit the experiment? It shows presence of water and turns pink from blue. Next, look at the experiment shown in figure alongside. Suppose you took a single flower with a long stalk dipping in water instead of a leafy twig. Will it serve the purpose? Yes or no? Give reason. Yes, because transpiration is the loss of water from aerial parts of plant, especially leaves. Here, in the absence of leaves, transpiration will take place through the soft stalk and floral leaves. Next, mention any two limitations in the use of photometers. It is not easy to induce the air bulb. The twig may not contain fully alive. Sorry, the twig may not remain fully alive for a long time. The twig may not remain fully alive for a long time. Next, pick out from the following list the parts through which the water vapor of transpiration leaves the leaf and rearrange them in proper sequence. Xylem vessels, mesophyll cells, intercellular space, substomatal space, stoma. Xylem vessels, mesophyll cells, intercellular space, substomatal space, stoma. Next, does diffusion play a role in the passage of water vapor from the leaf during transpiration? If so, how? Yes, the entire movement of water vapor from leaf into the atmosphere during transpiration is a result of diffusion. Does diffusion play a role in the passage of water vapor from the leaf during transpiration? If so, how? Yes, the entire movement of water vapor from the leaf into the atmosphere during transpiration is a result of diffusion. Next, if any in an experiment to demonstrate transpiration, the leaf must remain attached to its parent plant. Why is this so? In any experiment to demonstrate transpiration, the leaf must remain attached to its parent plant as otherwise transpiration cannot take place. In any experiment to demonstrate transpiration, the leaf must remain attached to its parent plant as otherwise transpiration cannot take place. Out of three kinds of transpiration, which one is maximum and which one is minimum? Maximum stomatal transpiration, minimum cuticular transpiration. Next, how will the following conditions affect transpiration? Still air, transpiration will decrease. Midday high temperature, transpiration will increase. Dim sunlight, transpiration will decrease. Dry air, transpiration will increase. Next, insufficient absorption of water by the roots, transpiration will decrease. তাহলে how will these conditions affect transpiration? Still air হলে transpiration decrease হয়, midday high pressure হলে transpiration increases, dim sunlight হলে transpiration decrease, dry air হলে transpiration increase, insufficient absorption of water by the roots হলে transpiration decreases. Next, list any three adaptations in plants to reduce transpiration. Thick cuticle, fewer stomata, loss of leaves. Next, list four advantages of transpiration of the plant. Advantages of transpiration of the plant: cooling effect. Evaporation produces cold, therefore, transpiration may be useful to the plant in hot sun. Many recent botanists do not agree with this idea. Evaporation produces cool environment, therefore, transpiration may be useful to the plant in hot sun. Many recent botanists don't agree with this idea. Next, ascent of sap. As a result of transpiration, a suction force is generated which helps in the upward movement of water against the force of gravity to the top of tall trees. As a result of transpiration, a suction force is generated which helps in the upward movement of water against the force of gravity to the top of tall trees. Next, removal of excess of water from the plant. Roots tend to absorb more water than acquired by the plant. Roots tend to absorb more water than required by the plant. Roots tend to absorb more water than required by the plant. The excess water is removed by transpiration. The excess water is removed by transpiration. Next, absorption of water and nutrients from the soil. এটা হলে কি হয়? Due to transpiration, water is absorbed from the soil. The absorption of water also helps in the intake of inorganic salts which are dissolved in water. Due to transpiration, water is absorbed from the soil. The absorption of water helps in the intake of inorganic salts which are dissolved in water. Next, distribution of water and salts throughout the plant body. Due to transpiration pool, water is distributed throughout the plant body. The water also carries with it the mineral salts absorbed by the plant. Due to transpiration pool, water is distributed throughout the plant body. The water also carries with it the mineral salts absorbed by the plant. Next, prevents the plant from drying up. As the water evaporates from the leaf surface, it leaves behind hygroscopic salts. Hygroscopic salts mean salts which have the ability to absorb moisture. These salts absorb moisture from the atmosphere and do not allow the plant to dry up. How would you justify the statement that transpiration helps in bringing rains? It has been shown experimentally that plants give out large quantities of water during transpiration. It has been shown experimentally that plants give out large quantities of water during transpiration. For example, a full grown single sunflower plant is estimated to lose about half a liter of water per day in the form of water vapor. A single maize plant loses about 2 liters of water per day, and a large apple tree may lose about 30 liters per day. These figures give us an idea of huge quantities of water released into the atmosphere by vast stretches of fields, particularly forests. Therefore, transpiration increases the moisture in the atmosphere and helps in bringing rain. Next, difference between guttation and transpiration. Guttation, water escapes in the liquid form as water droplets. Transpiration, water escapes in the form of water vapor. Guttation, water contains dissolved salts. Transpiration, water is pure. Guttation, water escapes through hydatodes. Guttation, water escapes through hydatodes. Transpiration, water escapes through stomata and lenticels. Guttation. Guttation, it cannot be regulated. It is the result of root pressure. Transpiration, it is a natural process regulated by the movement of guard cells. Guttation takes place in the absence of transpiration, hence, generally at night. Transpiration occurs in the presence of sunlight, hence in the daytime. Guttation, it has no effect on the plant. Transpiration cools the plant. Next, plants have no blood, yet we sometimes say that plant is bleeding. How do you justify this? When a plant is injured, the plant sap কিভাবে এটাকে জাস্টিফাই করবে? যখন প্ল্যান্টটা ইনজিওর্ড হয় তখন প্ল্যান্ট স্যাপ escapes from the ruptured or cut surfaces of the plant. This is called bleeding. The root pressure generated by the plant helps in bleeding. Thus we sometimes say that a plant is bleeding even though plants have no blood. Next, transpiration pool will be maximum under which of the following conditions? uh, Open stomata, Dry atmosphere and moist soil. Transpiration pool will be maximum under which of the following conditions? যখন ওপেন স্টোমাটা থাকবে, ড্রাই অ্যাটমসফিয়ার থাকবে আর ময়েস্ট সয়েল থাকবে। নেক্সট কোয়েশ্চেন, উইথ ডিক্রিজ ইন অ্যাটমসফেরিক প্রেশার দ্য রেট অফ ট্রান্সপিরেশন উইল increase. The rate of transpiration is more when atmosphere is dry and temperature is high. Next question, one of internal factors which affect the rate of transpiration is one of the internal factors which affect the rate of transpiration is mm, sunken stomata. Next question, guttation takes place through hydrathodes. The loss of water as water vapor from the aerial parts of plant is known as transpiration. Transpiration will be fastest when the day is hot, dry, and windy. Transpiration will be the fastest when the day is hot, dry, and windy. Next question. Most of the transpiration in tall trees occurs through stomata. Most of the transpiration in tall trees occurs through stomata. Next question. Transpiration is best defined as loss of water as water vapor by a plant. Next, very short answer type questions. Openings on the stem through which transpiration occurs, lenticels. The process by which intact plant loses water in the form of droplets, guttation. An instrument used to find the rate of transpiration, potometer. A plant in which stomata are sunken, nerium. The apparatus to compare the rate of transpiration in a cut shoot. The apparatus to compare the rate of transpiration in a cut shoot. Photometer. Any two parts of leaf which allow transpiration. Leaves and stems. The structure in a leaf that allows guttation. Hydrathodes. Loss of water as droplets from the margins of certain leaves. Guttation. Openings on the stem through which transpiration occurs. Lenticels. The process by which intact plant loses water in the form of droplets. Guttation. Instrument used to find the rate of transpiration. Photometer. A plant in which stomata are sunken. Nerium. The apparatus to compare the rate of transpiration in a cart shoot. Photometer. Any two parts of leaf which allow transpiration, leaves and stems. Structure in a leaf that allows guttation, hydrathodes. Loss of water as droplets from the margins of certain leaves, guttation. Next, transpiration is the loss of water as water vapor from the aerial parts of the plant. Closing of stomata and shading of leaves reduce transpiration. Transpiration helps in creating suction force and in eliminating excess water. Given below is an example of certain structure and its special functional activity, chloroplast and photosynthesis. In a similar way, write the functional activity against each of the following: hydrathodes and guttation, leaf spines and reduced transpiration, lenticels and diffusion of gases, xylem and conduction of water. Hydrathodes, guttation, leaf spines, reduced transpiration, lenticels, diffusion of gases, xylem and conduction of water. Most transpiration occurs during midnight, false. Transpiration creates a pool of upward movement of the sap, true. Wind velocity has an effect on transpiration, true. Voltmeter is an instrument used for measuring the rate of transpiration in green plants, false. Rewrite the false statements in above in correct form by changing either the first or the last word. Most of transpiration occurs during the day. Potometer is an instrument used for measuring the rate of transpiration in green plants. Next, give suitable explanations for the following. Suitable explanations for the following: a higher rate of transpiration is recorded on a windy day rather than a calm day. A higher rate of transpiration is recorded on a windy day rather than a calm day because on a windy day the water vapor released during transpiration is removed faster and the area outside the leaf does not get saturated with the water vapor. Consequently, the rate of transpiration increases. Next question. Excessive transpiration results in the wilting of leaves. Excessive transpiration results in the wilting of leaves because of the rate of transpiration exceeds the rate of absorption of water by roots. Consequently, the cell lose turgidity. Excessive transpiration results in wilting of leaves because the rate of transpiration exceeds the rate of absorption of water by roots. Consequently, the cells lose turgidity. Next, water transpired is water absorbed. All plants continuously absorb water through their roots. The water is conducted upward through the stem and is distributed to all the aerial parts, including the leaves. Only a small quantity of this water is used by the plant in photosynthesis and other activities. The rest of it is almost lost to the atmosphere as water vapor. This loss of water as water vapor from aerial parts of the plant is called transpiration. Thus, water transpired is the water absorbed. Next, more transpiration occurs from lower surface and dorsiventral leaf. In dorsiventral leaf, more stomata are present on lower surface as compared to upper surface. Therefore, more transpiration occurs from the lower surface of these leaves. Next, cork and bark of trees help in preventing loss of water. Cork and bark are homogeneous mass of flattened dead cells with a fatty substance that makes it almost impermeable to water and gas and thereby help in preventing loss of water. Next, কি না 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 পার্সপিরেশন এন্ড ট্রান্সপিরেশন কি বলছে কর্ক অ্যান্ড বার্ক অফ ট্রিজ হেল্প ইন প্রিভেন্টিং লস অফ ওয়াটার কিভাবে কর্ক অ্যান্ড বার্ক আর homogeneous mass of fattened dry cells with a fatty substance that makes it impermeable to water and gases and therefore help in preventing loss of water. Next question. Perspiration and transpiration help to cool the body temperature of the organism. Transpiration is a biological process in which water evaporates from a plant, especially through tiny openings called stomata on the surface of the leaves. Transpiration returns massive volumes of water from the ground to the atmosphere and thus help to cool the plant in hot weather. Transpiration is a biological process in which water evaporates from a plant, especially through tiny openings called stomata on the surface of the leaves. Transpiration returns massive volumes of water from the ground to the atmosphere and thus help to cool the plant in hot weather. Next, when the body temperature rises, the sympathetic nervous system stimulates sweat gland to secrete water with small amounts of urea and salt to the skin surface where it cools the body by evaporation. Perspiration is the process of excreting this fluid through the pores of the skin. Next question. On a bright sunny day, the leaves of certain plants roll up. On a bright sunny day, the rate of transpiration exceeds the rate of absorption of water by the roots, and thus the leaves of some plants roll up to reduce transpiration. Next question. Which of the following statements are true or false? Photometer is an instrument used for the demonstration of transpiration occurring from lower surface of the leaf. True. কারণ হচ্ছে more transpiration occurs from lower surface of the leaf because of the presence of more stomata and photometer is attached by a leafy shoot. Next question. Hydatodes are similar to stomata in plant physiology. True. In addition to stomata, many kinds of leaves have large specialized water pores in their epidermis. These pores are called hydatodes and permit guttation, the process by which a plant loses liquid water. As far as morphology and anatomy are concerned, both stomata and hydatodes are similar. But unlike the stomata, the hydatodes remain open all the time. Next, atmospheric humidity promotes transpiration from a green plant. As false. সিটার আনসারই দেয়নি অ্যাটমসফিয়ারিক, এটার আনসারই দেয়নি সি এর। Next question. Some desert plants have sunken stomata on their leaves. আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, এইটার আনসার এটা, অ্যাটমসফেরিক হিউমিডিটি প্রমোটস ট্রান্সপিরেশন ফ্রম আ গ্রিন প্লান্ট, এটার আনসার এটা হবে ফলস। হাই অ্যাটমসফিয়ারিক হিউমিডিটি high atmospheric humidity high atmospheric humidity reduces the rate of outward diffusion of internal water vapor across stomata, thereby reducing the rate of transpiration. Next question. Some desert plants have sunken stomata on their leaves. True. Many plants, and especially those which grow in a dry climate, evolve a variety of permanent adaptations to curtail transpiration. Many plants, and especially those which grow in dry climate, evolve a variety of permanent adaptations to curtail transpiration. Number E. Most transpiration occurs during midday. Since the stomata are open during day to facilitate inward diffusion of carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, and during night they are closed. Therefore, more transpiration occurs during the day. Differentiate between guttation and bleeding in plants. Guttation or bleeding a difference. The leaves of certain plants exhibit droplets of water along their margins in the morning. The leaves of certain plants exhibit droplets of water along their margins in the morning. While bleeding, the plant sap escaped from the ruptured surface of the plant. Bleeding হচ্ছে the plant sap escaped from the ruptured surface of the plant. এবার guttation, hydaninodes hydatinodes are required. Guttation আর hydatinodes are required. Bleeding এ হচ্ছে cut or injury required for bleeding in plants. What is wilting? Some plants show wilting of their leaves at noon even when the soil is well watered. Why is it so? When the rate of evaporation is more than the rate of absorption of water by roots, the leaves droop down due to lowering of turgor pressure. This flaccid condition is known as wilting. Some plants show wilting of their leaves during midday. Some plants show wilting of leaves during midday even when the soil is well watered. It is because rate of transpiration during midday exceeds the rate of absorption of water by roots. Consequently, cells lose turgidity and leaves wilt. Next question. What are the stomata in most plants more numerous on lower surface of a leaf instead of being on upper surface? Stomata in most plants are more numerous in lower surface of a leaf instead of being on the surface because lower surface is less exposed to sunlight than upper surface. Next question. Suppose you have a small rose plant growing on in a pot. How would you demonstrate transpiration in it? Cover the potted rose plant with a transparent polythene bag and tie its mouth around the base of the stem. Leave the plant in sunlight for an hour or two. Drops of water will soon appear on the inner side of the bag due to the saturation of water vapor given out by the leaves. A similar empty polythene bag with its mouth tied and kept in sunlight will show no drops of water. This is a control to show that plants transpire water in the form of vapor. Therefore, this experiment demonstrates transpiration in rose plant. Next, what is photometer? Photometer is an instrument used to determine the rate of plant's transpiration by measuring water uptake. What is lenticular transpiration? Mention two major difference between lenticular transpiration and stomatal transpiration. Lenticular transpiration. Transpiration through lenticles is called lenticular transpiration. Transpiration are special openings that develop on the older stem in place of stomata. These allow diffusion of gases for respiration as well as for photosynthesis. Lenticels never close, they remain open all the time. Water from the cell surfaces directly facing the lenticels evaporates and contributes to transpiration. About difference, the amount of transpiration from lenticels is very much less than the stomatal transpiration. Next, list any three major factors that accelerate the rate of transpiration: intensity of sunlight, temperature, or velocity of wind. Next question. There is a general belief that forests tend to bring more frequent rains. Can you explain it scientifically? It has been shown experimentally that plants give out large quantities of water during transpiration. For example, a full grown single sunflower plant is estimated to lose about half a liter of water per day in the form of water vapor. A single maize plant loses about 2 liters of water per day, and a large apple tree may lose about 30 liters per day. These figures give us an idea of the huge quantities of water released into the atmosphere by vast stretches of fields and particularly forests. Therefore, transpiration increases the moisture in the atmosphere and helps in bringing rain. Next, Next, droplets of water may sometimes be seen along the margins of the leaves of a banana plant growing in wet soil in the mornings. Are these dewdrops? Comment upon your answer. No, these are not dewdrops. These drops are due to guttation. Explain how the rate of transpiration is affected by intensity of light and humidity of atmosphere. Intensity of light. During daytime time, the stomata are open to facilitate the inward diffusion of carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. During night, they are closed. Therefore, more transpiration occurs during the day. When it is cloudy during the day, the stomata are partially closed and transpiration is reduced. Thus, intensity of light increases the rate of transpiration. Next, humidity of the atmosphere. Transpiration is reduced if air outside is humid. Huge humidity in the air reduces the rate of outward diffusion of internal water vapor across stomata, thereby reducing the rate of transpiration. Transpiration is reduced if the air outside is humid. High humidity in the air reduces the rate of outward diffusion of internal water vapor across stomata, thereby reducing the rate of transpiration. Next, in an experiment, four fleshly plucked leaves of a plant, such as those of China rose, were treated as follows: coated with Vaseline on its upper surface. এটা একটা হতে পারে কোটেড অন লোয়ার সারফেস, কোটেড অন বোথ সারফেস, আর লেফট আনকোটেড। এবার অল দ্য ফোর লিভস এ বি সি ডি আর লেফট ইন রুম টেম্পারেচার অ্যাবাউট 24 hours. হুইচ লিফ উড বিকাম মোস্ট লিম্প? ওয়াই? লিফ ডি মানে যেটা লেফট আনকোটেড সেটা মোস্ট লিম্প হয়ে যাবে বিকজ ইট লুজেস ম্যাক্সিমাম ওয়াটার বাই ট্রান্সপিরেশন। এবার হুইচ লিফ উড শো লিস্ট লিম্পিং? ওয়াই? মোস্ট লিম্প হচ্ছে যেটাকে কোট করা হয়নি, আর লিস্ট লিম্পিং হচ্ছে লিভ সি মানে কোটেড অন বোথ সাইডস, কারণ ওয়াটার লস বাই ট্রান্সপিরেশন ইজ মিনিমাম বা লিস্ট। Next question. Given alongside is a diagrammatic sketch of a stomatal apparatus from a dicot leaf. Label the parts numbered 1 to 3. ওয়ানে হচ্ছে গার্ড সেল, টুতে হচ্ছে সেল ওয়াল, থ্রিতে হচ্ছে স্টোমা। ইন দিস স্টেট open or closed? Is this state open or closed? Open. Is this stomata of a dicot or monocot leaf? Dicot leaf. এবার ড্র করলো একটা ডায়াগ্রাম ক্লোরোপ্লাস্ট গ্লাড সেল স্টোমা নিউক্লিয়াস এপিডার্মাল সেল সেলভার এসব নিয়ে given alongside in the diagram of an experimental setup to demonstrate a certain phenomena in plants. Name the phenomena being demonstrated. Transpiration. What is the purpose of putting oil in the test tube? To prevent evaporation of water. What is the purpose of spring balance in the setup? To measure weight and hence to demonstrate the loss of weight during transpiration. Would it make a difference if the experimental setup is kept in bright sunlight? Yes, the rate of transpiration will increase and spring balance will show less reading. Rate of transpiration will increase and spring balance will show less reading. নেক্সট একটা গ্যানং স্পোটোমিটারের ছবি আছে, এটা ছবিটা দিয়ে লিখেছে রিজার্ভার এয়ার বাবল এয়ার টাইট কন্টেইনার এসব এসব দিয়ে দি গ্যানং স্পোটোমিটার নেম দি অ্যাপারেটাস গ্যানং স্পোটোমিটার why is it used to measure the rate of water intake by the plants. What is the role played by air bubble in the experiment? As the twig takes up or absorbs water, the air bubble moves along the graduated capillary tube and reading of the distance the air bubble has moved gives us the volume of water absorbed by the twig in a given amount of time. This water intake by the plant is almost equal to the water lost through transpiration. Next question. What is the use of reservoir? After reading of the distance moved by air bubble has been taken, the air bubble can be brought back to its original position by releasing some more water from the reservoir into the capillary tube by opening the stop cork. In this way, the reservoir provides water to the graduated capillary tube so that the air bubble comes back to its original position. This enables us to take more readings. Next, what happens to the movement of air bubble if the apparatus is kept in dark in sunlight in front of the fan? In dark hole, if apparatus is kept in dark, there will be very little or total absence of the movement of air bubble because of the absence of sunlight. There is no evaporative loss of water from the plant. Next question. In sunlight, যদি হয় when kept in sunlight, there will be more transpiration and hence the intake of water by the twig will also be more. So the air bubble will move at a steady rate. Number 3, in front of the fan. যখন in front of the fan হবে when the apparatus is kept in front of the fan, fan, there will be more transpiration because of more evaporation of water from the twig. And so the air bubble will move at a comparatively quicker pace. Next question. Given alongside in the diagram of an experimental setup to study the process of transpiration in plants. Study the same and then answer the questions that follow. Name the color of dry cobalt chloride paper. The color of dry cobalt chloride paper is blue. Is the experimental leaf a monocot or a dicot? Give reason to support your answer. The experimental leaf is a dicot leaf. It is because this experiment demonstrates the different magnitudes of transpiration from the two surfaces of leaves. As we know, there are more stomatal openings in a dicot leaf, so the experimental leaf has to be a dicot one. Next question. Why are glass slides placed over dry cobalt chloride papers? We know that a dry cobalt chloride paper which is blue in color turns pink when exposed to moisture. We want to measure the amount of transpiration from the leaf surfaces in the experiment. So glass slides are placed over dry cobalt chloride papers to ensure that the moisture present in the air does not reach the papers and so doesn't affect the time taken by them to turn pink. Next question. After about half an hour, what change, if any, would you expect to find in cobalt chloride paper placed on dorsal and ventral sides of the leaf? Give a reason to support your answer. After about half an hour, we will expect the cobalt chloride paper present on the ventral side of the leaf to show more change in color than the one placed in the dorsal side of the leaf. This is simply due to the reason that ventral side mane undersurface of a dicot leaf has more stomatal openings in upper or dorsal surface. Next, the apparatus shown in the given diagram is Garrew's potometer, Garreau apostrophe S, designed to demonstrate unequal transpiration from two surfaces of a dorsiventral leaf. Before keeping the leaf in bed between the cups, anhydrous calcium chloride contained in two small vitals were weighed and placed in both the cups. The ends of cups were closed with corks through which two mercury through which okay. So it has to be a key experimental leaf is of a dicot leaf. This is because this experiment demonstrate the different magnitudes of transpiration from two surfaces of leaves. As we know, there are more stomatal openings in dicot leaf, so the experimental leaf has to be a dicot one. Next, why are glass slides placed over dark chloride cobalt chloride papers? We know that dry cobalt chloride paper, which is blue in color, turns pink when exposed to moisture. We want to measure the amount of transpiration from the surface in the experiment. So, glass slides are placed over dry cobalt chloride papers to ensure that the moisture present in the air does not reach the papers and so does not affect the time taken by them to turn pink. Next question. After about half an hour, what change, if any, would you expect to find in cobalt chloride paper placed on the dorsal and ventral sides of the leaf? Give a reason to support your answer. After about half an hour, we will expect the cobalt chloride paper placed on the ventral sides of the leaf to show more change in color than the one placed on the dorsal side of the leaf. This is simply due to the reason that ventral side mane undersurface of a dicot leaf has more stomatal openings on its upper mane dorsal surface. This is simply due to the reason that ventral side of a dicot leaf has more stomatal openings than its dorsal surface. Next, the apparatus shown in the given diagram is Garrow's potometer designed to demonstrate unequal transpiration from two surfaces of dorsiventral leaf. Before keeping the leaf in different cups, anhydrous calcium chloride contained in two small vials were weighed and placed in both cups. The ends of cups were closed with corks through which two mercury manometers were connected. After few hours, CaCl2 vials were taken out and weighed again. What is the purpose of keeping CaCl2 vials inside the cup? CaCl2 tubes are weighed and placed in both the cups and then weighed again. Because the two weighing is a measure of an amount of water lost from the leaf surface. Ever after few hours, CaCl2 vials were taken out and weighed again. Will you expect any difference in weight? If so, give reason. Yes, CaCl2 tube placed during the leaf below the leaf will weigh less than tube placed above the leaf. This is because as the ventral or undersurface of the leaf has more stomatal openings, more transpiration will occur there. Next question. What is the purpose of using manometer? Manometer ensures the maintenance of constant water vapor pressure within the cups. Manometer ensures the maintenance of constant water vapor pressure within the cups. Next question. What is meant by transpiration? Transpiration is loss of water from aerial parts of the plant. The figure given below represents an experimental setup with weighing machine to demonstrate a particular process in plants. The experiment the experiment setup was placed in bright sunlight. Study the diagram and answer the questions that follow. Name the process intended for study. Transpiration. Define the above mentioned process. Level of water falls in a test tube A but remains same in test tube B. Level of water falls in test tube B A but uh, remain same in test tube B. When the weight of the test tube A and B is taken before and after the experiment, what change will be observed? Justify. The fall in level of water in test tube A is due to transpiration of water. What is the purpose of keeping test tube B in the experimental setup? The surface of water is covered with oil to prevent the loss of water by evaporation. Next, an apparatus is shown below was set up to investigate a physiological process in plant. The setup was kept in sunlight for 2 hours. Droplets of water were then seen inside the bell jar. Answer the questions that follow. Name the process being studied. Guttation. Explain the process named above. Guttation is defined as the process of exudation of drops of xylem sap on the tip or edges of leaves of some vascular plants such as grasses. Guttation is defined as the process of exudation of drops of xylem sap on the tip or edges of leaves of some vascular plants such as grasses. Why was the pot covered with plastic sheet? The pot was covered with polythene bag with its mouth tied and kept in sunlight will show no drop of water. The pot was covered with polythene bag with its mouth tied and kept in sunlight will show no drop of water. Suggest a suitable control for this experiment. Suitable control for this experiment is that it stops under control conditions of water and mineral deficiency. Suitable control for this experiment is that it stops under control conditions of water and mineral deficiency. Next, mention two ways in which the process is beneficial to plants. Guttation is important for plants that is helps the plants in getting rid of the waste products. Guttation is very important for plants that is helps the plants in getting rid of waste products. List three adaptations in plants to reduce the above mentioned process. Leaves have waxy cuticle coating. Leaves reduce into spines. Sunken stomata are confined to lower surface of the leaves. এটা confined হবে. List three adaptations in plants to reduce the above mentioned process. Sunken stomata is confined to the lower surface of the leaves. Next question. Define transpiration. The loss of water as water vapor from aerial parts of the plant is called transpiration. Three ways a plant transpires: stomatal transpiration, cuticular transpiration, lenticular transpiration. List three conditions that favor transpiration. Three conditions that favor transpiration are sunlight, wind or air movement, availability of soil water. Three advantages of transpiration. Advantages of transpiration kiki. Evaporation reduces temperature of leaf surface, therefore transpiration is useful to plants on hot sunny days. As leaves are present at the tips of all branches and twigs, transpiration from their surfaces tend to draw water towards them and thus help in distribution of water. Next point. Roots of plants continuously absorb a large quantity of water. Transpiration removes excess water from the plant body. Define transpiration stream. It is defined as the path of movement of mineral sap through the vessels and tracheids of xylem tissue due to transpiration. Transpiration is defined as a path of movement of mineral sap through the vessels and tracheids of xylem tissue due to transpiration. Give two reasons why greater transpiration occurs from the lower surface of a dorsiventral leaf. Greater transpiration occurs from the lower surface of a dorsiventral leaf due to the following reasons. There is large distribution of stomata on lower surface. There is more stomatal openings on lower surface. Large distribution of stomata on lower surface. more stomatal openings on lower surface. Next question. State one advantage and one disadvantage of potometer. Advantage. The potometer can be used to compare rates of transpiration under different atmospheric pressure. Disadvantage. Potometer does not measure water lost by transpiration but only the water drawn by the plant as a result of transpiration. This is because all the water that is drawn by the plant is not transpired. Next question. Plant leaves contain stomata and human leaves contain sweat pores. Mention two differences and two similarities in their functioning. Gaseous exchange takes place at a difference হচ্ছে gaseous exchange takes place through stomata but not through sweat pores এটা একটা difference আর একটা difference কি stomatal openings are regulated by guard cells but there is no such mechanism in the case of sweat pores এবার similarity কি both are responsible for excretion both regulate the amount of water inside the body. Next question. Bring out 3 points of difference between transpiration and perspiration. Transpiration takes place in plants whereas perspiration takes place in the animals. Transpiration takes place from export part of plant but perspiration takes place through the skin. Transpiration in transpiration only water vapors are removed whereas in perspiration sweat containing urea, uric acid and some salts are removed. Next, state two ways which involve loss of water from organisms. Transpiration and perspiration involve loss of water from organisms. Next, state 3 points of difference between evaporation and transpiration. Difference between evaporation and transpiration কি হবে? Evaporation is a physical process in which water evaporates from general surface of water. Transpiration, it is a physiological process of elimination of water vapor from aerial parts of the plant. Evaporation, it is not regulated by any living cell. Transpiration, it is regulated by guard cells. Evaporation occurs among living and non-living organisms. Transpiration, it is restricted to living plants only. What are lenticels? Where are they found? Lenticels are minute permanent openings which may develop in young stems of wood plants. Some water is lost continuously through lenticular openings in the form of water vapor. List 3 anatomical adaptations of leaf that check excessive transpiration. Anatomical adaptation of leaf that check excessive transpiration are as follows. The number of stomata are reduced and they remain sunken in pits. Number of stomata are reduced and they remain sunken in pits. A thick waxy cuticle develops on the epidermis as in evergreen trees. A thick waxy coating, the thick waxy cuticle develops on the epidermis as in green trees. The leaf surface may be covered by a dense coating of cutinized hair, scales, etc. The leaf surface may be covered by a dense coating of cutinized hair, scales, etc. Next, list 3 morphological adaptations of the leaf that check excessive transpiration. Morphological adaptation of leaf that check excessive transpiration are as follows. Leaves may be modified into spines, as in desert plants like cactus or in needles as a pine. Leaves may be shade as in deciduous trees. Leaves may be folded or rolled up. Next question. How is transpiration useful to plants? Transpiration enables plants to get rid of excess water absorbed by their roots. Transpiration enables plants to get rid of excess water absorbed by their roots. The greater the transpiration in plant, the greater is the absorption of water from the soil. Next, transpiration creates a suction force which influences the ascent of sap. Next, there may be a slight cooling effect in the transpiring leaf. Next question. How are desert plants adapted to check excessive transpiration? Desert plants are adapted to check excessive transpiration by the presence of thick cuticle or multiple layers of epidermis. Cutinized hair, waxy scales, etc. may be present. Latex may be present. There may be fewer stomata present on the leaf. Next, stomata may be sunken in pits. Next, leaf area may be much reduced or leaf modified into spines. Next, leaves may roll up in the day. Next, there may be shedding of leaves before summer. Describe the factors affecting transpiration. Factors affecting transpiration are sunlight, temperature, velocity of wind, humidity, water content of the leaf. Sunlight. During daytime, stomata are open for allowing the inward diffusion of carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. During night, they are closed, therefore, more transpiration occurs during the day. Next question. Temperature. If the outside temperature is higher, there is more evaporation from the leaf and therefore more transpiration. Velocity of wind. If the wind blows faster, the water vapor releases during transpiration is also removed away from faster and area outside the leaf does not get saturated with water vapor. Therefore, transpiration increases with an increase in velocity of wind. Next question, humidity. Next point, humidity. The transpiration is reduced if air outside is humid. The greater the quantity of moisture in the air reduces the rate of diffusion of the internal water vapor to the outside across stomata. Next, water content of the leaf. If the water content of the leaf decreases, such as due to insufficient absorption of water by roots, the leaves wilt and transpiration is cut down. Such reduction in transpiration is indirectly due to the closure of stomata and it is natural mechanism of conserving water within the plant. Next, what is the significance of transpiration? Transpiration has greater significance for plants and its main advantages are cooling effect. Evaporation produces cold. Therefore, transpiration may be useful to the plant in hot sun. Very recent botanists do not agree with this idea. Next, ascent of sap. As a result of transpiration, a suction force is generated which helps in the upward movement of water against the force of gravity to the top of the tall trees. Next, removal of excess water from the plant. Roots tend to absorb more water than required by the plant. The excess water is removed by transpiration. Next, absorption of water and nutrients from the soil. Due to transpiration, water is absorbed from the soil. The absorption of water also helps in the intake of inorganic salts which are dissolved in water. Next, distribution of water and salts throughout the body. Due to transpiration pool, water is distributed throughout the plant body. The water also carries with it the mineral salts absorbed by the plant. Next, prevent the plant from drying up. এগুলো হচ্ছে সব কি কি উপকার করে কুলিং এফেক্ট অ্যাসেন্ট অফ স্যাপ রিমুভাল অফ এক্সেস ওয়াটার ফ্রম দ্য প্লান্ট অ্যাবজর্পশন অফ ওয়াটার অ্যান্ড নিউট্রিয়েন্টস ফ্রম দ্য সয়েল ডিস্ট্রিবিউশন অফ ওয়াটার অ্যান্ড সল্টস থ্রু আউট দ্য প্লান্ট বডি অ্যান্ড প্রিভেন্ট দ্য প্লান্ট ফ্রম ডাইং আপ কিভাবে অ্যাজ দ্য ওয়াটার ইভাপোরেটস ফ্রম দ্য লিফ সারফেস it leaves behind hygroscopic salt kara salts which have the ability to absorb moisture. These salts absorb moisture from the atmosphere and do not allow the plant to dry up. Next, they briefly explain the mechanism of stomatal movement. Opening and closing of stomatal mechanism of stomatal movement in 1967. Briefly explain the mechanism of stomatal movement. Opening and closing of stomatal mechanism of stomatal movement. In 1967, Leviff explained the mechanism of stomatal action. Leviff. Leviff. Ever sunlight starch produced during photosynthesis is converted into organic acids which causes low concentration of potassium ions. When concentration of organic acids is increased in guard cells, it increases the concentration of cells sap followed by subsequent absorption of water. In the dark, photosynthesis stops accompanied by increased concentration of carbon dioxide. The organic acids are converted into starch, decreasing the concentration of cell sap. This results in movement of water out of heart cells. A decrease in their turgor leads to closure of stomata. Thus, stomata open during daytime and close during night. Next question. What is the apparatus shown alongside called? State its purpose. একটা অ্যাপারেটাসের ছবি দিয়েছে দিয়ে বলছে এটা কি কাজে লাগে আর এটার পারপাস লেখো ইউজ দ্য স্টেট দ্য ইউজ অফ ক্যাপিলারি টিউবের ইউজ আর স্কেল আর তারপরে হচ্ছে ওয়াটার রিজার্ভার The apparatus shown alongside is Gannon's photometer. Purpose to measure the rate of transpiration. But use of capillary tube is to see the movement of air bubble in it. Thus, use of scale is to note the readings on capillary tube. The use of water reservoir is to bring back the air bubble back to its original position by releasing some more water into the capillary tube by opening the stopcock. Next, what happens to the movement of air bubbles if the apparatus is kept under following conditions: in dark, in sunlight, in front of the fan? In sunlight, the movement of air bubble becomes rapid. In dark, the movement of air bubble becomes slow. In front of the fan, the movement of air bubbles become fast. Three plants A, B, C are placed in beaker containing colored water. The water in each beaker is covered with layer of soil. The leaves were removed from plant B while plant C was exposed to strong light. In which plant A, B, C would the water move up fastest? Water moves up fastest in plant C as the rate of transpiration increases in strong sunlight. In which plant would water move slowly? Water moves slowly in plant B as there are no leaves and therefore very little transpiration takes place. Why was the water covered with oil? Water was covered with oil as a precaution to prevent evaporation of water from the beaker. What is being investigated by this experiment? Transpiration and various factors affecting transpiration are being investigated by this experiment. Next, an experiment is set up as shown alongside. The leafy shoot was cut underwater and then fixed to the glass tube with a rubber dubbing. Both long tubes were filled with water and then inverted intra containing mercury. What is absorbed after a few hours? Water level in tube A rises while in B falls. Next, name the process taking place in A that accounts for change observed. Transpiration occurs. Next, name the process taking place in B that accounts for the change observed. Diffusion. What is the aim of the experiment? To demonstrate the suction force in transpiration. What would you observe if the leafy shoot was placed by a leafless shoot? Explain. There would be no change in level of mercury in the two tube as there will be no transpiration. Next, a flask is filled with water and boiled. While vapor still fills the flask is connected to setup shown on the right by means of a glass tube twice at right angles. Select what would you observe from the options given below. Bubbles appear in the beaker. Water droplets along the margins of the leaves. এবার water droplets along the margin of the leaves কি হয় as the steam enters the glass tube the vapor pressure around the leafy shoot increases and hampers transpiration and the water absorbed is lost from the margin of the leaves through guttation. Next, আচ্ছা বলছে সিলেক্ট হোয়াট ইউ অবজার্ভ ফ্রম দ্য অপশনস গিভেন বিলো. Bubbles appear in the beaker, water droplets along the margins of the leaves, none of the above. কোনটা ঠিক? ঠিক হচ্ছে ওয়াটার ড্রপলেটস অ্যালং দ্য মার্জিনস অফ দ্য লিভস, এটা ঠিক। এবার বলছে গিভ জাস্টিফিকেশন ফর দ্য আনসার। The steam enters the glass tube, the water vapor around the leafy shoot increases and hampers transpiration. Water absorbed is lost from the margin of the leaves through guttation. Next, what does this experiment demonstrate? This experiment demonstrates guttation. Next question. এবার আবার একটা ডায়াগ্রাম আছে represents a certain physiological process in plant. Name the process. Transpiration. What is the purpose of this experiment? To show that water vapor is given off from the aerial parts during transpiration. Number 3. Why is the pot covered with polythene bag? The pot is covered with polythene bag to prevent evaporation of water from the soil. Next, precautions. The pot is covered with polythene bag. The potted plant is well watered. The base of the bale jar is sealed with Vaseline. Dry cobalt chloride paper is used, which turns from blue to pink. A control experiment is a similar setup but without a plant. Next question. How would you prove the lower surface of leaf transpires more than upper surface? To demonstrate unequal transpiration from two surfaces of dorsiventral leaf, hygrometric paper method, select a potted plant having dorsiventral leaves. Take two strips of filter paper and soak them in a concentrated solution of cobalt chloride. Dry both the strips on the sun. The strip of filter paper become a deep blue color when dry. এবার observation, you'll observe that the cobalt chloride strip attached to the lower surface turns pink within a few minutes, while that placed on the upper surface remains blue for a longer time. This is because there are more stomata on the lower surface of the leaf, while the rate of transpiration is higher. Design an experiment to demonstrate transpiration in plants. Experiment to show transpiration in plants. এটা হচ্ছে বেল জার experiment. Place a well watered potted plant on a glass plate or slab. Cover the surface of the pot and the soil with its oilcloth. Tie the cloth firmly to avoid any evaporation. Now cover the potted plant with bell jar. The bell jar will be dry. Seal the edges of the bell jar with Vaseline so as to allow no air to enter from outside. Leave the apparatus undisturbed for a few hours. After a few hours, it will be found that inner surface of the bale jar contains drops of water. This shows that water vapor given out during transpiration have condensed into drops on coming into contact with the cold surface of the bale jar. These drops of water cannot enter the outside air and from the pot because both have been properly sealed. These water vapors have come only from aerial parts of the plant due to the process of transpiration.